I find myself definitely switching between like the way that I express my love language is like giving gifts and acts of servitude. I'd say my love languages is like an acts of servitude sun with a gift giving rising. Like Alrighty, hello, and we're back yet again for another episode of Coming to the City. What's with the cadence? That cadence was a little strange, but we're just going to go with it.
It sounded like you were splicing your own audios together.
We're just going to go with it. That's where we're at today.
Okay, I love it.
Good luck editing this one.
Is it because you're drinking this week?
Quite possibly.
As soon as she gets one sip in, she just
she doesn't know how to speak.
all sense of... Wait, hold on. Joey, what are you drinking today?
Oh my gosh. I am drinking my favorite Miss Kim Crawford White Sauvignon Blanc.
That is the actual proven best white wine ever.
It's the goat.
It is. It really is.
You know what it always reminds me of? It reminds me of that one time when we were at Chef's Table and we got absolutely smashed. Because that was like...
And I accidentally texted the wrong group chat.
Yes, the origin story of I Will Always Be Your Dance Captain.
I will always be your dance captain. Group of people who I was never their dance captain.
Chef's Table is 9 courses, and in every course you get a meal, a small meal, like a very small, like tasting meal.
Of course.
And a glass of alcohol. So by the end of it, you don't remember the last 3 courses, at least the last 3 courses.
Yeah.
And we sat down. It was me, you, and Shannon all sitting right next to each other. And
I have so many good videos from that night.
I remember eating the scallops, and I believe that was the 3rd course.
Yeah.
And then from there, everything's a little hazy.
Alex's mom and I were like crying and hugging each other by the end of that meal. Like Kenny and I got so much closer from that one meal. That was like one of the best times ever.
My favorite memory of that night is looking back on that group picture that we had taken, and not a single one of us was making a proper face, and not a single of us remember taking that picture.
Everyone's eyes were like half closed. Like, yes. Anyway.
What are you drinking?
Oh, I'm drinking gin and rosé lemonade.
Very cute. Of course, in your gin goblet.
I know. Honestly, it makes me want to drink gin more because it's such a pretty goblet.
I would drink gin more if I didn't hate gin. Do you have a report back about that gin?
I really, really enjoyed it, actually. I really liked the cocktail that I made with it. And for somebody who, like you, I don't gravitate towards gin necessarily, but it's kind of making me gravitate towards it, which is, it makes me happy.
I'd be interested to try it. I don't know if I would necessarily like it, but I'm down for trying everything once.
Everything?
Everything.
Narrator. Everything.
Everything.
So you made a coat, right?
I made a new coat, yes. And I like it way more than the first one. Now, don't get me wrong. The first one I really like anyways, but this one, what do you call it? It's like patchworked. It's like this patchwork brown and dark gray, and it reminds me a lot of Vivienne Westwood kind of overcoat. And I'm so very proud of it because I kind of mixed it in with another kind of fabric that I found. It's kind of like this light chevron that I've kind of paired with it. And I don't know, I'm really I think starting to find my style, and now I had no instructions with this one. They basically gave me the I found it online and they gave me the pattern, and there was some written instructions, but nothing was really all that clear. It was just kind of pin these and sew. And pin this and sew. There was not really clear cut, here's what you need to do. And
step 1, make
the coat. And I did it. I did it all by myself. I made it. And so I was super, super proud of myself because I took what I've now learned from making shirts and obviously watching videos, and I figured it out myself. And I guess we talked about it. I have this passion for it, but the more that I create, the more that I'm excited to create more things, and the more that I have confidence in creating more things, and I'm I feel like I'm really starting to like find my stride and like starting to really think about like my style, and I'm just like, I'm super excited. So
That's so exciting.
yeah.
So I registered with a GP, which is like a general practitioner. Like I picked a doctor's office basically. And I got my NHS number today, so I was able to book my very first vaccine appointment, which is tomorrow.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. I'm a little bit nervous because both of my roommates got the very first like dose, and they both just like got put on their asses. So I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm so stupid. I had it scheduled for like the 13th or something, and my birth chart says that I'm going to meet somebody like really important on February 11th, and I was like, I really got to like get this vaccine just like done and out of the way before the 11th so that I'm like free and available. But yeah, so hopefully tomorrow it all goes well, and I have I'm working from home on Sunday, so I have like a solid day to just...
My dad got the first vaccine because he's an EMT, and he said the first one he was okay. I mean, a little sore at like where the injection was, kind of like the flu shot, but that other than that, he really, I mean, he was okay. So,
no offense to your father, but the vaccine has been kind of affecting younger people more heavily than the more experienced folk. The more life heavy folk. And apparently,
how old are you?
Also,
I'm life heavy.
I'm experienced. On the scale of life, on the teeter totter of life.
You're weighing it down a little bit more.
I'm weighing it down.
Well, congratulations. That's really good news.
I'm very excited. Thank you.
The UK seems to be doing a lot better with their vaccine rollout than the States at the moment. So,
well, so the UK has two big advantages. One is that it's a lot smaller than the US, and two is leaving the EU actually in this instance worked out really well because the vaccines that they're making, they don't have to share with everybody in the EU. Like Germany is making the vaccines, but they can't just hit everybody in Germany first. They have to like ship out as much as
it was like something like 10% of the UK has been vaccinated so far, and that
really?
Like the other day, like a total of 1% of the entire population was vaccinated on that day. So they seem to be doing quite well with the vaccine rollout, which is really, really good. A lot better than the States.
If I'm being allowed to get vaccinated, I have to think, because like not from here, like super young, almost too young, if you know what I mean. So like if I'm allowed, then I'm honestly, you know me, like I have such a guilty conscience. I'm fully prepared to like walk up and be like here I am, and they're gonna be like, get away from us. I'm like, so okay, yeah, okay, see you later.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for what you do.
Fair enough. Well, I'm excited for you. That's a very good development in your life journey. So, we got our stamped bank statements back, meaning
hallelujah.
We have reached out to our lawyer, and our lawyer is putting together our application as we speak.
My hands are literally sweating. I can't.
I know. Jacob called me this morning, and he called me 3 times, and I was like, motherfucker. Okay. And I called him, and he was like, okay, so don't freak out. And I was like, what? Just tell me.
Too late.
At this point, what? And he was like, you just need to send over photos of your passport, all of your stamps. And I was like, are you kidding me? And he was like, don't worry. The lawyer is still going forward with everything. He's still putting our application together. He just said, get them over to me when you can. So I obviously sent them. I literally like called my mom because I'm not home right now. I'm staying with my sister. And I called my mom and I was like, send me those pictures. And she was like, okay, great. And so we sent them and the lawyer got them already. But yeah, so technically 72 hours. And I think it's been 18, almost 24. So within the next few days, we should have our application together and it should be sent off relatively soon. And because of the whole expedited option, I'm hoping to be in the UK by Valentine's Day. Now that's pushing it. I think that's probably pushing it a little too far, but that's what I'm hoping for.
Imagine. Oh my God.
When I got that fucking email that my bank statements came in, I ran around the house screaming, and my mom basically had a heart attack because she was like, what the hell is happening? I was like, I got the statements! And it doesn't even feel real at this point because I've been waiting so long for it. Like, it just doesn't feel like it's happening. I just, like, I can't believe that, like, I'm, like, also, like, waiting for the other shoe to drop at this point where I'm like, okay, so what's next? What do they need? What's not going to happen? Like, I have, like, such a cynical outview at this point because everything, like I've talked about, like, it's like, it feels like we're always taking a step forward and then taking 2 steps back. So I'm, like, waiting to take the 2 steps back. But for right now, we're, like, in the clear. We're just waiting for the lawyer to get back.
That's amazing.
I know. I can't
believe it's so soon.
I know. First of all, it's just been, like, way too long away from Jacob. Like, it just sucks. Like, no matter what, being away from him sucks. But I'm so ready just to, like, start life and feeling permanent and feeling like I actually can settle down and take a deep breath. Because I haven't been able to take a deep breath since I was 18, pretty much. You know what ships are like.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's no sense of permanence. Pretty much since I started working on ships, I haven't had a sense of permanence. So it's going to be weird to, like, be in the UK with my visa, to be able to get a job, to, like, be in the flat that we're going to be in, to, like, unpack and actually be unpacked and not knowing when I'm going to pack up my life again. Like, all of that I feel is, like, going to be really strange, but, like, so exciting.
So exciting. Ooh. So at my new job, I'm, like, slowly starting to get to, like, know people. And one of the people on my team, we have actually a couple people on my team and I have completely bonded because of, like, birth chart kinds of things, which makes me feel like you're going to be, like, so... one of the people, Maddie, I think you're really, really going to like. He's Irish, and he... Basically, I was already, like, a fan of him, and then we found out that we are receptive to, like, rising signs and, like, all that shit. I mean, I talk about the birth chart reading that I got literally every day to everyone that will listen to me. But yeah, like, so we just got to connect on that kind of level, and it was so nice to be able to, like, be excited and gossip with people about rising signs. And
you got to give me his birth chart now. You got to give me his big 3.
Okay, one of them is Cancer, and I think the other one might have been a Sagittarius. It was Earth, Water. His first 2 were Earth.
So his rising sign and his sun sign were both Earth signs.
Yeah.
Which means he has Cancer moon.
Yeah.
Same. Love that. Obviously.
But yeah. I don't know. It's, like, such a, like, a silly little thing, but it made me feel like I'm, like, getting to know people and, like, making connections and, like, especially being able to be, like, at work and, like, have people who I really, like, get along with and stuff like that. It makes me really happy.
That's really cute. That's a really cute thing. Like, I always find, listen, like, Jacob doesn't believe in any of it, which is fine. Everyone has a right to think about whatever they think about in whatever way they want to think about it. Mm-hmm. I, like, fuck with it heavily. I, like, don't know as much as, like, a lot of people, but I do think I know more than the average person.
You do, yeah.
So it's something that, like, I definitely, like, when I meet other people who are, like, so into it as well, we vibe personally. Like, I always think about, like, the decisions that I make and why I'm making the decisions are because of the sign, like, where my planets and where my houses are and all of that stuff. I don't know, like, you just reach, like, a level of connection by just, like, talking about it and just having a discussion about it. Like, there's something, yeah, no, I feel like
for me, it's such, like, an energy thing. Like, every time somebody, like, even my roommates, they'll be like, oh, I don't even know why, there's no reason for it, but I'm just feeling, like, really lethargic and really, like, down. And I'll be like, it's because of Mars retrograde. That's why. And then I'll like sit there and I'll like be like, what's your star sign? This is the shit that you need to watch out for, because that energy is real. Like, I mean, I'm such an advocate for like caring about things. I think it's way more fun to care about things than to not care about them. And I think especially in times like these, like searching for answers, reasons, you know, as to why the shit is the way that it is, I think it brings a little bit of comfort, if nothing else. And I'm about it.
And like, I think that's the reason why, I don't know what your Mercury sign is, but my Mercury's in Scorpio. So the way that I like to communicate and the way that I like to have discussions is like, I always like to get deep down emotional. I like to like fucking be intense about the conversations that I have. And I like to like get to an emotional state. And I like to like think about how people feel about things. And I like for it to be like intense. And that's why, first of all, I think we do really well on our podcast, because I mean, that's our job right now, is to talk about things, to really dive into subjects and to really talk about them. Like, I have always been an advocate and a person who's like, I love to sit down and talk for 6 hours about things, to like, once you're also kind of aware of it, and once you kind of start to recognize patterns, and once you start to, and like, I mean, the oceans are literally influenced by the moon. Like, there has to be some sort of fucking energy there.
Yeah. And we're like, what, 76% water or something?
Yeah. Like, surely that has to have an effect. It's science. It's like, isn't that
third grade science? New to this city.
Isn't that like from 21 Jump Street, where he's like, science, bitch?
Fuck you, science. I don't know what it is.
No, I don't know.
Yeah. And I think that's a really good point, because like if you don't know your own patterns, you're just a slave to your own emotions. Like, once I became aware of my like introverted tendencies and really figured out how and why they get triggered, I'm so much more in control of them. And that has made me be a more functioning human. Like, my non-morning enjoyment tendencies, once I became aware of them and decided that I wanted to change them, it became more of an active choice. And like, you don't want to be a passive participant in your own life. You know what I mean? Like, you want to be in control. We only get 80 years to be in control of your own life.
Also, like, I think a big reason why people are like, well, I don't believe in it, is because they see the newspaper zodiac of like, here's a Sagittarius and here's the traits.
Your crush will wink at you today.
And it's like, people who really have like a hand on astrology and know a lot about it, like, they know like more. I mean, you have your planets, you have your signs in those planets, you have those signs in houses, and like your house. I mean, there's like way more to it than I think what like the average person realizes. And so people who are like, oh, like, I read things about Taurus and that's not true, and it's like, it's probably not true, because you have 8 other planets and 12 houses that you have to deal with.
So what's Jacob's sign?
Jacob, he doesn't know his exact birth date, so I can't get his exact rising sign, but he is a Libra.
How far into your relationship were you like, also, what? Oh,
I mean, it was like, it was probably the first night, I think.
The first night?
I think that I was like, anyway, so when were you born?
He was like, May 21st. And you're like, no. Like, what?
Like, when
were you born?
I need like exact times.
Does that play in at all when you're like dealing with relationship issues with him, especially like right now, being that you can't actually like be with him?
Like Jacob, like when it comes to like some of his emotions, like he's more analytical over them. He wants to understand why. He wants to understand why someone's feeling that way. And me as a Cancerman, I'm like, it's just because I feel that way. Like, it's, and so like understanding like where he comes from helps like kind of how I can communicate and how like I'm able to talk and how I'm able to kind of figure out certain issues or whatever.
That makes sense. How many relationships did you have before Jacob?
I had one serious relationship.
Was that ever long distance?
Yes, it was. At this point in my life, long distance relationships are pretty much what I know.
I I don't believe in long distance relationships, and I have pretty much only ever been in long distance relationships.
Is that because of ships?
No, like my first boyfriend, we dated for like 3 years, and we didn't start dating until he had gone away to college and I was still in high school. So like it's just always been long distance.
What is your number one rule for long distance relationships?
I was going to say communication, but I think it's learning the other person's love language. If your love language is acts of service or like quality time and the other person's is words of affirmation, they could talk at you all day long telling you how much they miss you and how much they love you, and you could be like, fucking prove it.
Okay, great. What next?
And my love language used to be words of affirmation, which I think is why it enabled me to stay in long distance relationships for so long, because I really value my like being independent, having my own like time, as long as somebody is like telling me constantly that I'm
how pretty you
and
are.
They love me. I think that's the greatest gift that you can give somebody in a relationship, whether it's next to each other or far away, long distance, is learning how they accept love.
I think that's really important. I think I think that's important in any relationship, but I think it's especially heightened when you're apart. Mm-hmm. Especially for someone whose love language is quality time.
Yes.
Like, I think it's especially difficult for someone whose love language is quality time. My love language is acts of servitude. Someone doing even the smallest bit for me, amazing. And the way that I give love is acts of servitude. That's how I express my love language. With long distance, that's really, really difficult, because the way that I express my love language isn't possible in long distance. Jacob's love language, in the way that he accepts love, I think is way more of words of affirmation. He really enjoys like just me saying, hey, I appreciate you and I love you. But for me, that's really difficult. It's really, really difficult. That's not the love language that I express. So I've had to learn that, like, even me reaching out and saying, even like with the visa stuff, like saying, hey, I appreciate the work that you did today. I love you. And I can't tell you how much that means to me. That's enough. That's all I need to do. And I've had to like recognize that and to say, like, that's the way for us to be able to continue and have a healthy relationship even when we're apart.
Mm-hmm. I used to joke that my love language was coffee. It's not a joke, it's true. But
yeah.
like all of my ship boyfriends learned to just bring me a coffee and like put it next to my bed while I was asleep. I've never felt so loved in my whole life.
I can only imagine.
Buy me coffee. Just, that's how.
Well, like we've mentioned, anyone knows Dee's day doesn't start until she's had her first cup of coffee. At least her first cup.
Yeah.
Maybe 2. Mostly 2. 2.
And you know what? I think that experience of like people bringing me coffee, because I loved it so much, I think it kind of made my love language shift to gifts.
Receiving gifts.
A little bit. Yeah. Like, it doesn't have to be something major. Like, Olivia sent me a gift for my birthday, and she like bought like a sweatshirt, and she embroidered like a thing on it, and I was sobbing. I've never felt so loved in my whole life. Like, it was one of the best gifts I've ever received. My first boyfriend, he made me a scrapbook, which I guess is more like acts of service a little bit. But like, let me tell you something. If you ever dated me and you ever sent me anything, it exists either in my room or under my bed, so I don't have to think about you, but it exists.
It's those two are like, I find to be quite interchangeable. I know that they're not, yeah. And I'm sure some scientists will come for me, but like, I find myself definitely switching between like the way that I express my love language is like giving gifts and acts of servitude. I'd say my love languages is like an acts of servitude sun with a gift giving rising. Like, like, don't get me wrong. I love a good gift. Like, I love feeling that, like, you thought of me and that you bought me something. But at my core, I feel most fulfilled when someone does something for me.
Yeah, I want the gifts. I want the gifts.
like I am not afraid to say that I am a materialistic fucking bitch. Like, don't get me wrong. I love myself a good gift.
Yeah, but like we're not talking about like Louboutins or like, you know,
I mean,
crazy
you may not
things.
be.
It's the thought that counts.
No, totally. I agree with that.
Let's get to like the more difficult side of long distance relationships. No, but like, I mean, obviously, I don't think that they work long term. They don't work. And what are some drawbacks of having a long distance relationship?
Sex. Physical touch. Like, I think that's quite obvious. Not physically being with someone. Like, that's really fucking difficult. Again, I mean, we're getting into love languages again, but like, especially someone where physical touch is their number one. Mm-hmm. I almost think long distance relationships are pretty much impossible, because especially if that's like the way that you feel love and you're not able to have that, then you're not being fulfilled. You're not being fulfilled in a relationship the way that you want to. And I think before you start thinking about long distance relationships, you have to know yourself. You have to know that like, whether you're able to physically put in the work, it takes a lot more work, it takes a lot more effort, and it takes a lot of fucking trust. Trust in making sure people call when they do. Trust in people physically. And like, I think that it all comes down to proper communication. And if you don't have that communication, you're putting in so much work to something that I don't think, and I'm not here to say like your relationship isn't working or that like it won't work because of that, but I do think that like your proper communication is number one.
Yeah. And having like everybody on the same page, like you know what you want out of that relationship and you know where you stand with the other person. Like, is this an exclusive situation? Is this like a don't ask, don't tell situation? Not passing judgment. Like, it takes all kinds to fill the freeway, but like maybe you should be on the same page before you're spending months, years at a time.
Can we just go back to, what did you just say?
It takes all kinds to fill the freeway.
Is this something that you created, or is this like something that...
No, it's definitely a movie quote, and I can picture it in my head. No idea what movie it came from.
Okay, great. Like you said, you have to be on the same page. You have to know what you want to get out of it.
Because, like, when you're sitting there and all of your friends have their, like, significant others and you're sitting there alone and you're like, well, this sucks because I'm not single, but I'm also, like, I feel super alone, like, very lonely. It's important to know that you're putting the time and the effort in, and it's equally reciprocated on the other end.
And to be honest, I think it makes you stronger at the end of it. Like,
I think it can. I think distance is a very good barometer to like how worth it this relationship is. Or like, does it have the bones to go the distance? Because distance, and it doesn't always make the heart grow fonder. And how strongly you feel about the other person.
Right. At the end of the day, how much does that person mean to you? Is it worth the miles, and is it worth not having that person next to you?
I mean, there's ways to be like intimate, not next to each other. Like, I think being able to have conversations where you don't get physical, and that can like make you a lot more intimate a lot more quickly. Whereas if you were like distracted by sex all the time, then like it would, maybe you would get intimate in other ways, but like it would take a little bit longer for emotional intimacy. Well, you know what? Like when Cal and I broke up, it was so hard because that emotional intimacy was so strong. And at that point, I mean, it was strong enough that like it made the next year really hard because we were so connected in that way, even though we weren't physically next to each other.
There's such like, I feel like there's such kind of like this weird like in crazy dichotomy between like the stronger you get, the harder long distance is in certain ways. But like you get to like being so symbiotic with someone that when that's taken away from you, you're almost like, oh my goodness gracious. And it almost like there's almost a beauty in it if you're in the right relationship of like, here's what I rely on this person for, and here's how they kind of fill the spaces that I can't fill. Hey, woo. But like here's like the ways that this person completes me, and not completes me again in an unhealthy way, but like in realizing it, there's almost a beauty in that. And I don't want to say like, trust me, I don't want to say it in a way of like, you can't have that without that person. But I mean, some people's strengths help your weaknesses. And to be able to kind of understand and recognize what that person has that helps you out, and then having that being taken away and almost helps you recognize that more, then that's how you get through it. You know that it's temporary. You know that it's worth it in the end. And you communicate, you do what you need to do. And I always tell people, like, you find your flow. You find what works, you find what doesn't. There's going to be growing pains. You're going to argue. You're going to have to go through a period of not understanding why things are happening and not understanding why things don't work as well as you weren't together. But you rely on each other for that.
So, like, what are your favorite things that you've done in your either past relationships or this current relationship that work in terms of long distance? Like, I've had boyfriends who like will write each other physical letters so that we get things in the mail. My favorite thing to do is like watch it, like we'll press play on a movie at the same time and then just like text through it. Or like I've gone and surprised a boyfriend before at his like dorm for Valentine's Day. What are the other things that we did? Oh my God. So like one of my ex-boyfriends gave me this like little, they like sell them at Hot Topic. They're like really weird and short looking. I don't really know what it is, but I made it its like own Instagram, and I would like take it little places and like take pictures of it. And that was super fun. So like, what are some things that you do?
I never go to bed without calling him. Whether it's a 2-second call or whether it's a 3-hour call. No matter what, I always call him to say goodnight. Another thing is that, like, we watch the same, we're very interested in the same TV programs. And so that's something that, like, we make sure that, like, we watch, we call, we talk about it. Talk about TV made us feel normal. Made us feel like it's not something that, like, we have to sit down and that we have to talk about. Like, it's not that, like, we had to schedule us sitting down and talking. It's not, here's the rundown of my day. What about you? It was, like, just something that I was able to, like, text him and be like, oh my God, I can't believe this happened. And that created a sense of normalcy in our relationship.
Yeah, it's not always, like, so scheduled and, like, planned out.
Like, it felt like we were just having a casual conversation. Not every conversation needs to be, like, we're scheduling this so that we can talk and that we can be a couple. Like, it just needs to, like, sometimes just be, like, a sense of normalcy. And I think that's something that's helped Jacob and I quite a lot.
And I think having a date to look forward to that you know that you guys will see each other again helps so much as well.
So
because
much.
When it's this, like, big black void of, like,
yes.
see ya, it's so hard to keep an eye on, like, the end goal and the end game for you to be with the person that you love.
Right.
That should be the end goal. So even if it's, like, just scheduling a vacation, like, you're taking together,
just
or
a date.
Yes, a date that you both can look forward to and, like, have a little countdown and know that that time at least is going to be dedicated for the two of you. And also, too, if you think that you're like, oh my God, that's okay, 8 months is like 8 months out of 50 years, like whatever. And then they leave and then you're like, oh, I actually don't miss them. And it exhausts me to, like, feel like I want to talk to them. That's fine too.
That's
like, you're
okay.
allowed to change your mind.
Absolutely.
Like, a long distance relationship is not a contract unless you're married, and then you're like kind of fucked. But like, you are allowed to change your mind.
You are priority number one. At the end of the day, you're the one who has to go to bed and think about your thoughts. Like, and if it doesn't work for you, then it doesn't work for you.
If it doesn't work for you, it doesn't work for the both of you.
Right. I mean,
I don't know a single person that wants to be in a relationship with someone that doesn't like them.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Like,
yeah. I do not subscribe to right place, wrong time, or like if
the right
this
person at the wrong time.
Right. If this person is right for you, it's always a right time. There is never a wrong time for the right person. So you have to just...
Don't settle just to be in a relationship.
Okay.
I couldn't figure out
the next line.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I get in a relationship.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll see about this guy at the clinic. The
clinic.
The Don't go finding somebody at the clinic, please.
Okay, you guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you liked it, make sure that you rate us 5 stars, subscribe, follow, do all the things. Make sure that you don't miss any new episodes coming out. We come out with a new episode every single Tuesday. And also make sure that you follow us on all of our social media. Joey, what's our Twitter?
Our Twitter is New to the City. Please make sure you go follow us.
And also make sure that you follow us on our YouTube page, Instagram page, and our Facebook page. All of that is New to the City Podcast. Again, that is CiTea. And if you are in a successful long-distance relationship or you were a victim of an unsuccessful long-distance relationship, we want to hear from you. So make sure that you email us at newtothecitypodcast@gmail.com. Again, that is CiTea. And I think that's it. Bye!
Bye.